And we are live. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to IT Career in Australia. And tonight we're going to talk about how to transition from project to delivery management. So thank you so much for finding some time to join our live discussion this evening. Looks like it might be storm coming to Melbourne, but it's still nice and sunny. So hopefully you guys with us and not at the beach, or maybe you're at the beach. Oh, well, I don't blame you. So, but anyway, make sure you introduce yourselves in the comments. Let us know your name and where you're watching us from. So make sure to say hi, because no one likes to talk with crickets. So make sure to say hi and let us know that you with us this evening. So if you're new to my live show, I'm Jana Martins, and I've recently entered IT industry myself. So I'm passionate about learning more about the industry and also share my new findings with you on this YouTube channel. So again, tonight the topic is how to transition from project to delivery management. And Nigina is going to share her journey, her career transition, and her top tips how to make this move. So obviously, incredible relevant topic for anyone who want to make their way into delivery. So make sure to share it with your colleagues or your friends who need to hear this. So, and before I'll pass it on to Nigina to introduce herself, I just want to quickly remind you that we're going live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So to watch the replays, I strongly suggest to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can find all our previous discussions there. I'm going live there every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. with various experts from my network. So I'll be talking about all the things IT career, job search, and specifics of IT career in Australia. So you can also join my meetup group to make sure you get notifications about the upcoming events. So you can register and you'll get obviously emails so you don't miss the upcoming discussions. And of course, make sure to ask your questions. We'll try to answer all your questions from all the platform, as long as the questions obviously on the topic. So, and also the most active participants will also receive a nice surprise at the end of the stream. And also, I always encourage you, please use this live stream as your opportunity, not only to learn new information, but network with people in the industry. So you can always connect with other people who are watching or with people who are talking, or you can reach out to me as well, say hi and ask your questions. So don't be shy, say hi. So Smail's here, Ferof is here. Thank you guys to joining us. And again, make sure to introduce yourselves, and I'm passing on to Nigina to introduce herself, please.
Hi, thanks so much, Yana. Thanks so much for having me. I know we're in touch. What was it last year, October, November? And finally, Feb 2022, we made it. Here we are. So yes, I'm excited to be part of this live stream and really excited to share my personal experience as into what I have gone through in my professional career. So currently working as a delivery lead, and we'll be touching on some of the topics throughout the live stream on how I got into that position, share some of my tips, as you mentioned earlier. But before we start with that, I would love to put out a disclaimer that for anyone who's interested in changing their career or focusing on a specific career path, highly recommend to do as much research as you can, because for every role it really really depends on the type of industry you're in, and it really depends on the type of business and company you're in. So what I will do is I will share as much information as I possibly can about my own personal experience, and what I do in my job. And if you guys have any questions on the delivery load in general, I'll try and answer them. But yeah, just a disclaimer that it's my personal/professional experience as a delivery lead.
Perfect. Yes, thank you, Nigina. And yeah, it's quite interesting because we have delivery management topic few times already in my live stream, and it's quite interesting how everyone have different perspective, because we even had a panel discussion before with 3 delivery leads and management, and they all have a different view on what is actually delivery management. And we had a separate discussion with Kafik before. So if you guys really, want to do the research, I recommend to watch those live streams as well.
Yeah.
Because, so as Nigina mentioned, this could be so different from company to company, from industry to industry. And, when you like reading a job description, it actually gives you nothing. So unless you actually speak with people and hear it a few times, it will be like really hard to understand what you're actually going to do in this role if you never experienced it before. So Nigina, let's dive into it, and we're basically just gonna start with your story. Like if you can give us a bit of a overview, where you started, how did you move? Like just give us an overall picture before we go into the details about actual transition.
Yes. Okay. So I've got a pretty dynamic and interesting background. So I'll just start with go back in time a few years. So I studied hospitality management. So when I was younger, and pretty much still, I'm a bit of an all-rounder, a bit of a jack of all trades. There's a lot of things that I enjoy doing, a lot of things that I don't enjoy doing. Things that I do enjoy doing, I usually tend to be pretty good at, but it never has kept my interest to a degree that it became a big hobby or a passion. So I grew up in the Netherlands in Europe, so it has its own educational system. And in the Dutch school system, you are asked in a very young age to pretty much make a decision as into to what area of expertise you want to develop yourself from the age of, I think, 13, 14. And being a jack of all trades, loving so many things, I went quite generic in my choice. And then obviously when you're 17, 18, 19, in your 20s, you're a total different person. So I studied hospitality management and realized pretty early on in my time at university that it wasn't really what I envisioned it to be, what I thought it would be. But I'm not one to really give up. So I finished uni, did it for 4 years, and then after finishing, I took a job in Dubai as a sales executive for one of the larger Middle Eastern brands. Did that for a year because I thought if you want to experience hospitality, you want to experience it at its best, Dubai is the place to go. So I did that for a year, realized not really something that I want to do for the rest of my life. So in 2014, 2015, I decided to move back to the Netherlands, took a few months off and really thought of what I wanted to do as someone like in the mid-20s for the rest of my life. What was my interest? And not something that I decided on doing when I was 14, 15. So took some time off, and then I decided that I love technology. I love being challenged. I love to constantly learn new things. And I actually applied without any experience in project management. I applied to a junior project manager role in one of the companies in my city back then. And I got invited for an interview. Went in, and I will never forget because he asked me, why should we hire you? Because you don't have enough experience. And I told them, well, there must have been something in my resume that triggered you because one, I got invited. So you probably think that I'm capable. And two, I told them like, look, I'm a jack of all trades. There's a lot of things that I'm good at, a lot of things that I pick up. I'm a quick learner. And they actually called me like a few days after and they said, look, you don't have the experience, but you do have the personality. You have the drive. You are someone that's ambitious. So we are confident that you'll pick up quick. And in 2016, that's when my career in technology and IT actually started. So I worked there for a year and a half as a junior PM. Did very interesting projects. It was a very IT networking job. So anything in terms of your Wi-Fi connection, your wired connectivity, database, firewalls, everything. And for those that know the Netherlands a bit, so you might know Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. They were one of our large customers. So our projects were high risk, high stake. So if something went wrong, it literally meant that there would be no planes leaving. There would be no flights. So we did that, and then I also did quite a few very interesting projects in hospitals, also high stake. So I learned quite early on to deal with stress, deal with high stakes, deal with risk, and I did that for a year and a half, and I got more and more responsibility. And the better I am at something, the more responsibility I get, the more I enjoy it, the harder I work. So absolutely loved it there. But then due to personal reasons, good reasons, I moved to Melbourne. And this is almost 4.5 years ago. So I left the Netherlands, I moved to Melbourne, and I kind of had to start from scratch. So didn't know anyone, had to apply, did that, and then I got a job into project management, like an onboarding level of that in software. So quite different compared to IT waterfall going to software agile. Did that for a year and a half, and I worked for a startup, which I absolutely loved. Very challenging because startups are fast-paced, things change, you gotta adjust and adapt. Did that for a year and a half, but there's Salesforce. Everyone wants to get a pie in Salesforce industry because it's booming, it's interesting, it's challenging. So I applied for the current company that I'm at, applied for the project manager role. Once again, well, I did have the PM experience. I just did not have any Salesforce experience. Once again, I got hired based on, in this case, the skill set that I had built as a PM, but also the attitude, being a go-getter, being ambitious, wanting to work hard, and being a quick learner. So I got the role at Datawadi, my current employer. We, however, have been acquired by OSF. So we're going through this acquisition change, which will be impacting my current role, but I'll just refer to what I did as part of Datawadi and what I'm doing as a delivery lead as part of Datawadi, because the future state in OSF will look very, very different. And we can maybe discuss that during another live stream in a few months' time. So yeah, I got the job as a project manager, and I have now been with the current business for 2 years, and then as a PM, transitioned into the senior PM, and then got into the delivery lead role that I do currently. So that's a bit of my story in a nutshell.
Perfect. Thank you, Nagina. And for everyone who's listening, I think, you already can see the biggest takeaways. Yes, they're always saying that, a lot of women apply for the job only if they can tick 9 boxes or something. Here we go. You only need to tick the majority of men apply if they can tick half of the boxes. So, and I think it's just a reminder again. So, if you go get them, if you willing to learn, if you want to work hard, so the hiring manager will see it. And I think with your story, actually show that you transition from hospitality job to delivery management within 10 years, 10 years time.
5, 6. Yeah, less than 10.
Yeah. less. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So less than that, and it's basically again based on the attitude. I think you already kind of give people a few tips there, that it's not about what did you learn or what experience you have. It's all about where you actually want to be. So let's I guess concentrate on this last transition. That's what we're talking about today. Your last transition from the project management role to delivery role. And let's kind of uncover a few transferable skills and the challenges that you faced on the way. So basically, in a nutshell, what's project manager, if you can briefly tell us what's a project manager actually does?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a hard question to answer. And I get this question for many, many years. I get it all the time. And I get the same question when it comes to what does a delivery lead do? And also the question of what do you mean you're in? Because I'm in digital marketing. And when I try to explain what it means, it's more complex than what I probably give justice to. But the the essential, the core of being a project manager in a lot of companies is, in a nutshell, getting shit done. And that encompasses more than just getting shit done. But when it comes to trying to explain what it is, that's my first word that I say. Getting shit done is important. And then there's this whole effort that goes behind getting shit done that you need to take into account. So there's stakeholder management, there's budget, there's timelines, there's scope, there's resourcing. All of that is being taken into consideration. So in my team, what my team
right
does.
Picture?
Let me have a look again. No, we can maybe use the video.
Yes, yeah.
We can maybe use the video because that's, tries to explain.
I'm sure, guys, some of you might have seen this video before, but let's just enjoy it all together again.
This man right here is my great-grandfather. He's the first cat herder in our family.
Herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
Anybody can herd cattle. Holding together 10,000 half-wild short hairs, well, that's another thing altogether.
Being a cat herder is probably about the toughest thing I think I've ever done.
I got this one this morning right here, and if you look at his face, it's just ripped to shreds, you know.
You see the movies, you hear the stories. I'm living a dream. Not everyone can do what we do.
I wouldn't do nothing else.
It ain't an easy job, but when you bring a herd into town and you ain't lost a one of them, ain't a feeling like it in the world.
EDS, managing the complexity.
This is adorable every time I see it.
Yeah, this is actually part of our internal onboarding. So whenever we have someone new join us, especially one of the new PMs, this is what we show them.
That's how your job will look like.
Yes, so that's how the team's day and work looks like on a daily basis, and that's pretty much how my day looks like. But it's true what it says. Like we bring all of the elements together and take it where you want us to take it, but within scope, within budget, within specific timelines. So there's in any project, there's so many moving parts that can derail the project, and it's the project manager's responsibility to keep the train on the rails and not to deviate from it. That's it in a nutshell, but it's, as you all know, projects always go over. They always derail for a variety of reasons. But in essence, that's project management in a very simple, basic way explained.
And what was the tipping point for you? Like, why you decide to actually move to project management, to delivery management? What was this? Did someone ask you? Was it purely your decision? Was it something that motivated you to move into the space?
I was actually asked. So by my management, because I've been with the company for a while, and I love doing projects. I love having that interaction with the customers and working on getting deliverables out the door in a timely manner, with quality, and then within budget and scope. So I really, really enjoy that, and I still enjoy it, and I still try and make time to still be project manager on projects. But in my case, we were a small agency. So a lot of people doing a lot of responsibilities. And I think a lot of people know that if you want to get a certain promotion, or if you want to move into a certain role, you first have to prove that you can do it. So you do the job, and then you get a promotion, you get a title, and you get the benefits. In my case, it wasn't planned. In my case, it was just to make my life easier. So I started to act as a bit as a PMO. So I started to improve processes. I started to work together with operations into, hey, what can we improve so that we are more efficient, so that we don't reinvent the wheel over and over and over again, and we can be be profitable. So while I was a PM and while I was a senior PM, I already started to do some of that out of interest. Not necessarily because I wanted to go in that role, because we already had someone in that position. So templates got put in place. I started coaching some of the junior PMs who joined us, who had challenges. Worked together with our ops team, started to reach out to our senior leadership team as into what they needed and where we would fit in and what we could anticipate to do as delivery from a strategic point of view in order to reach those goals and reach those targets. And it kind of became clear during that period, especially when our delivery lead at that time left, that I would be the next one, but it wasn't intentional. It was more, I enjoy doing it because it was an extra challenge that I had on top of just my projects. So I got asked, and funny enough, the first time when I got asked, I actually declined. And I said, I need to think about it, because I really, and the reason why I said no is because I really wanted to think about what that would mean for my career and what that would mean in the change that I would go through. But also, I really wanted to be certain that if I would commit to this role, I would give it all I had. So I thought about it. The team at that time, my current team still was very, very supportive, and they wanted me to take this position on. So I did, and here I am.
Before asking more questions about that, we have a few questions from the audience and a few comments. I wrote have a question, the comment about the project manager. Project manager is the person who manages a project. So define what project is, and then you have the answer.
If only it were that easy.
I think define a project is already a project itself.
Yeah.
And Gabor has a question for you. How was it for you to transition from a traditional waterfall project management role to a usually agile delivery management role? So I think the question is basically about, the actual structure.
Yeah, very good question. It was challenging. One, because my PM skills were built on Prince, were built on waterfall, built on IT, and coming into a software world, one, a startup who didn't always have processes defined, and to my current employer that was a quite young agency. It was really, really challenging, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I started to try and have some influence in locking in some of the processes. Because in our case, we were very, very, very agile, very reactive, very ad hoc. And I am a very organized person. I love structure. I love following processes. And I know that it's not always possible in an agile world, but you can create frameworks within the agile world and within agile projects that actually give the team some structure and some guidance. So it was challenging, but I think because I was still quite young, and because I'm quite flexible, it kind of, I took it over. But I do still enjoy processes. So I try to implement that wherever I can within the teams, within our team structure, and also with our tools and our processes.
And so once you basically took this delivery role, what was other challenges you faced? So obviously, you need to be more agile and stuff. So what else, what other top challenges you faced, and I guess how you overcome them?
Yeah. The main challenge in this case would have been the fact that I was now officially in a position to deliver projects, but also deliver these operational improvements and providing the team support. When I did it as something that I enjoyed when I was still the senior PM, it was different because there were no expectations. But in this case, you get thrown in the deep. You're officially the delivery lead, and now you have to make things happen. And my main challenge was that I kind of had to figure everything out myself together with my team. That was the most challenging part back then. So I had to do my own projects, and I still do some of my projects because I think it's really, really important for any delivery lead, and also for me personally, to stay on top the types of projects that we're doing, because they're not always the same. Our tools are changing, our processes are changing, our strategy is changing. So if I want to be able to help the team with that change and be able to guide them and coach them, I need to know what it means in real life in a day-to-day basis for a PM. So I had to really find a balance between my own stuff, my own projects, and trying to translate that and transform that into what works, what doesn't work, and then try to implement that in our processes. And that was challenging, and it still is challenging, because it's not as easy as, oh, this doesn't work, we'll get rid of that, we'll implement something new, and we continue. Luckily, I do have a support of our operations team, and since a few months, I have my own manager, which I didn't have for several months. So it was literally me and my PMs. So that was really challenging time. But I think what was also quite challenging is the majority, a big chunk of a delivery lead responsibility is taking care of the team. So finding the time to be across their work and guide them and support them in the execution, not losing track of what works for the customer, but also what does this fit in the strategy and the goal that we have as a business, and also how is my team doing? How are they doing? Do they have a lot on the plate? Is there bandwidth for them to take on something else? That was quite challenging in terms of finding that balance time-wise. And then the practical side of that transition was the need that I had to upskill myself across a lot of the tools. Being a PM requires you to use certain software. So we know like Atlassian, Trello, Tempo, time booking system, stuff like that. It's different when you become a delivery lead. You need to know all of it and more. So I had to really spend a lot of time in the practical side of things. So how do we use tools? Am I getting the information out of all these tools that I need to make strategic and thorough decisions based on profitability and strategy? That was quite challenging. And then luckily, with the help of ops, you kind of get into the habit of that. You try to make it work with the tools that you have. That was quite intense over a period of time. So time-wise, the practical update, and then what a lot of people also forget is when you become a delivery lead and you are there to take care of the team, it also means a lot of people management, and that's something that a lot of us aren't trained on. You can learn strategy, you can learn how to use certain tools, you can learn how to read spreadsheets on data and how to interpret that and what it means, and then what you can do next. Learning people skills and people management is a very, very different story. But I think the benefit for me at that time was that I already had a very established relationship with my team. So that transition was very organic, very natural. It didn't mean that as my team grew, I needed to upskill my people management skills myself as well. And that's something that you don't learn at work. You should, but it's something that doesn't come with the job description, and you need to do this and this, and will help you in having all these conversations and coaching and mentoring the team. And that was in some cases challenging, but I do count myself very lucky because I do have a very, very talented, very tight-knit team in my delivery team. So there's sometimes, but I do count myself very lucky. I'm sure other people have it way worse.
And 100%, obviously, like, it's really depends if, our job is really depends with people we work with. And no doubt it was helpful that you already work with those people before and they already seen your work and you then seen how good you are in your project management role before. So, and they probably knew maybe what areas of expertise you need to still to grow and like learn and improve. So the Satyendra has a question that you partly already answered, but I think the question is, what are the major differences between doing project management and delivery management? So you already mentioned about, people skills, but I guess like in a nutshell, if you need to tell like what's the actual difference between two, so what would it be?
Yeah. Being a project manager, you're very much focused on the outputs of your deliverables. So in this case, like your projects that you have assigned to you. When I transitioned into the delivery lead role, I still do some of the projects, but it's probably like 10% of my time. The rest of my time, the majority, which is probably 80%, the big chunk, really goes to supporting the team, is me enabling the project managers to have the tools, to have the guidance, to have the methods to actually make those projects become a success, to help them in getting those deliverables and outputs out the door. That is the biggest change. The other change comes that as a delivery lead role in my experience, I transitioned from a very much of a day-to-day team and activities to the next level of management. So I'm now across the numbers. So I see what we do in the business, how that translates into actual numbers and profitability, and sometimes also challenges. And you become part of the management that your input is important in order to decide what will be your strategy for the upcoming 6 months, upcoming year, and longer. And what do we need to do in our projects, in the delivery, to ensure that we can achieve those numbers, those targets, but also any restructure, any bottlenecks in resources that we have. How do we solve that to become more profitable? In an agency, in any other business, at the end of the day, it's all about profit. It's about money. So when you're moving into that lead role, you understand from a strategic point what is required to hit certain numbers. And I think to touch base on the challenge is I'm very much in the middle, because I can see the challenge that my team have. I can see the challenge that I have. I know how it translates into numbers and where the bottlenecks are in terms of processes. But it's not as easy as, we'll just fix this. So your role grows and grows, but the majority is team management, and then a big chunk of that is, okay, how do we achieve our targets from a management perspective, from a company point of view, and what do we need to do on a day-to-day to improve that? So that means restructuring, that means changing of processes, changing of tools, change management, all of that. So it's a quite different role compared to what my PMs do.
And would you say like it's more, I guess overall, it's more like holistic approach to whole organization and all,
Yes.
like, the ecosystem, rather than just concentrating on particular project?
Yeah, in my case it is, and it is because my employer, the company that I work for, is small. So you get that access to the management a bit quicker. On a global scale, it's different. So if you do decide to move into a delivery lead role and you want to cover more bases in a business and as a delivery lead role, you can in a smaller business. In a larger corporation, it's more structured, so it's more vertical, and you will have different layers as a delivery lead role before you get to that level of being involved in strategy and and big business decisions. And as I mentioned earlier in the call, is we have been acquired by a global global corporation, and we're going through this big change over the next few months, as into how will our new structure look like. Some of it will remain the same, some of it will look totally different, and the same will probably be for my role. I kind of have an idea of how my new role will look like, but there will also be differences and changes. So I might either have more access if I do grow within the business into management decisions, but it might also decrease because of the global scale that the new company has.
And you like maybe narrow down your scope. Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. As I said, it's different in every business, it's different in every company, and then the size of your company matters as well.
Yeah, 100%. We have a few more questions, Nigina, coming up on the YouTube. Hussein is asking, being a delivery lead requires you to have an in-depth know-how of the tech used by the team. Coming from a non-tech PM background, how did you find the transition to a more tech delivery lead position?
Very good question. Something that I got asked when I applied for both jobs, but in the Salesforce industry and in the business that I am in now, everyone is required to upskill. So there's, of course, different levels based on the role you're in. So we have the PMs, we have our consultants, and then we have our tech team. Tech team, of course, need to know the technology in and out. That's a total different level of certification and studying that's required. However, to keep us challenged, to keep us up to date, and not just from a level of like, oh, I enjoy it, so I just upskill myself, but also from a structure of this is required as part of your role, we are required to do certifications. So not as intensive as a tech guys, because we don't have to do the build, but we do need to have the basic knowledge and basic understanding of what the different tools are. So we are very much focused on the marketing cloud aspect. So that's our core business in our team, but there are different add-on platforms, and hence also why I still do projects, because there's always an add-on from Salesforce. It's always a different type of platform. So one of the elements besides the certifications that I need as a PM that are expected from my business, I also make sure that I do the actual projects. So one of the projects that I did last year was one of the new platforms. So I had to do it as a first one to actually pave the way, set up the processes, set up the templates for the rest of the team. So it is challenging. And I wouldn't say I'm very technical, but I also think as a PM, you don't need to know the details. You just from a high level perspective need to understand what the system is and be able to translate that into how does it look like in my planning. And I also heavily lean on the guys that do know it. So our consultants who have the technical insight, I lean on them. And I also lean a lot on the tech team, because that's their expertise. And then when it comes to doing the actual project and being the accountable person for the project, they then, of course, lean on me.
Was it a challenge for you then you transition that, you feel like you missed a bit of the tech knowledge, or it wasn't really an issue in the first place?
It is a little bit. It is a little bit. But the good thing is that it's still required as part of my job. I can still be delivery lead, but my team, my project managers, including myself, it is expected of us to do certain certifications and still continue to being educated and be on top of what we're selling, because it's one, really hard to manage a project if you have no idea, but also it's really important for my project managers to be able to have certain conversations on their own with the customer, not always have to lean on the rest of the team if it's something that they should know. So it is sometimes a bit sad, but I'll have to do it anyways. Like it's it's expected of me. So sooner or later, if it's not last year, I'll have to do it this year. Just to stay upskilled. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. And yeah, so again, as you mentioned, it's about seeing the high picture and understand where the overall overall goals of the business goes as well. So Satyendra has, sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly, but I believe it's Satyendra, has another question as well. From the overall project ownership perspective, who is responsible for successful project closure delivery? PM or DL? Also, is the PM reports to DL or a dotted line?
Interesting question. Very nice question. So I have a team of a coordinator, project managers, and senior project managers, and they all report directly into me. In terms of who's responsible for the final delivery of the project, it's the PM. However, if it's a success, the credit goes to my team. If it's not a success, that's on me, because that means that I did not give them the tools, the support, and the guidance they needed to either make it a success or at least make sure that all the risks that were part of it were out there and were anticipated. And there's a bit of a difference there as into what is a successful project. That varies for each and single project, unfortunately. In the best case, in the pretty world, it'll be finished within time, within budget, the perfect scope, perfect estimates, very, very happy customer, got what they wanted, very good review at the end of the project. It just doesn't always work like that. There's a lot of ups and downs in a project, but the final accountability would sit with me or with my manager if she's involved.
Yeah, makes sense. And guys, so we already had past 40 minutes in our live stream. So I encourage you to ask last questions if you have still any questions to Nigina. And also, actually, we didn't ask you guys, is anyone who listening to us tonight would like to move to delivery management? Yeah. Or maybe someone is actually already in delivery management, and what is your main challenges, I guess, like being a delivery lead? So if you can comment below with some of your answers, that would be great. So yeah, and if you obviously want to transition, let us know as well. And Nigina, to kind of summarize out to today's conversation. So if someone's listening to us, so they want to move to delivery roles, so they're thinking about it, maybe they try something, or maybe someone asks them, or what would be your top 3 tips, I guess, if we want to summarize our all today discussion. So someone want to move to delivery role, what should they do?
The biggest tip in terms of career advice, moving into a delivery role or towards something different, is do it. Just do it, unless it's something you hate. But if it's something you're curious and you get that opportunity, just do it, take it, because you never know what an opportunity might lead to after. Because if you always do what you've always done, you always get the same output. So I'm definitely someone that's always curious in, let's try something else, but just keep moving and see what comes out of it. That's the first one. The second one is, if you're unsure if that's something that you're capable of, do it. Figure it out once you're on the job, because like Jana said, the job description gives you nothing. It's real life compared to a job description is different. So if you've got those insecurities of I don't know if I can, you can learn everything if you've got the right attitude. Take that from me. And the final one is, probably got 2, is work hard. That can really make a change in your career, compared to someone that's not putting in the effort. And then with work hard, I mean, make sure that it's noticed. That helps you to progress, because the world is a very extroverted world. The introverts, unfortunately, don't always get the credit they deserve. If you have a good manager, they will notice, but make sure that if you do work hard, that your effort and your work is noticed and it's out there, so that you get the credit and you get the promotion that you deserve to progress your career further, in any industry. I think those would be my top 3. Yeah.
And I guess the other question I wanted to ask you, what do you think was like the most transferable skills? Like when you move to, project management to delivery management, what was, I don't know, top 3 transferable skills that really help you to be a delivery manager?
Yeah. Being able to prioritize. That's really important, because I get so many things thrown at me during the day, and if I would have to do all of it, I would work around the clock. You really need to be able to prioritize. Being able to prioritize also comes with being able to deal with stress. Don't let it affect you. I know it's hard, but try to stay present and break down whatever you need to do. And this goes for everyone in every role. We sometimes get so overwhelmed with all these like ad hoc messages, emails, and phone calls, and just stay focused. Do it step by step. Be able to prioritize. And I think what really is important in life in general is it's 2. So I'll add another one, is communication. That's really important, to be able to pass on your message. And stakeholder management, that being customers, that being your colleagues. That's really important as well, because that gives you a long way as well, because we're all in this together. And if you've got that relationship established internally, it will give you the energy, it will give you the confidence, and it will enable you to grow either within this business or any opportunity out there.
And I guess the skills that you mentioned, that applies to like any role out there, to be honest. But the good thing, like everyone who's listening and who may be thinking about change of the career, you can always practice these skills in your current job. And those skills will always help you to progress in your career to wherever direction you decide to take it. Like obviously some of the careers requires particular certification and stuff, but if you have your core transferable skills, I always like to use this quote: you never start from the beginning, you start from experience. So no matter what sort of roles you had before, if you build your core, you build your like main people skills, and as we see from Nagina's story, she moved from job to job because people love her attitude, love the getting things done, getting shit done, and and keep going and willing to learn. So, and I think it can apply to basically any industry and majority of the roles out there. We have a few more comments there. Satyandra saying, thank you for wonderful discussion today. I have recently moved from 15-16 years of test management role to a delivery lead role and looking forward to upcoming challenges. Congratulations, Satyandra. So you should you should basically come to my live stream and do the live stream moving from the test to delivery management. Here we go. Here's the next topic. So soon we'll cover every possible transition in IT industry, but by 2025, my live stream will cover every possible transition. Hussein, thank you for the discussion and sharing your experience. Nagina, thank you, Yana, for organizing this. And Hussein also have like off the topic question that we probably don't have time to answer. But the question is, how do you find the cultural difference between Dubai and other Middle Eastern countries versus the Western world? I feel like it's a separate live stream, Hussein.
We can talk maybe during one of the sessions about the cultural differences at work. Could be very interesting.
Do you have your top one that you can share in like 1 minute, or is it?
What the difference is?
Yeah, what's your would be like top one? It's a big question.
I think Australia is very different compared to the Western world, like Europe.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know where's the bigger difference between Dubai or Australia, or Europe and Australia, or Europe and Dubai. But I think in terms of Dubai, it's such a expat hub that you come across every culture, every type of person. But I would probably say that it's more formal. Dubai and Europe are more formal in the workforce than Australia is.
Yeah, we like
That's
it laid
me.
back, we like to
Yeah.
reply to email a bit, like, take a few days
Yeah.
to reply to the email, we
Yeah.
we
Which
like
I
it
had
a
to
bit
get
laid
used to.
back.
And I'm
agree,
someone, I want to
agree.
get shit done. So I was like, come on guys, hurry up.
I'm kind of used to reply on the email like in a few days. I'm enjoying that. So anyway, guys, so it's time to wrap up. I think Hussein has something to add. My favorite one is where no boundaries between work and personal life in that part of the world. Your employer and the customer expect you to be always available.
Very true. Yeah. Probably one of the reasons I left within a year.
From Dubai?
Yeah.
So there is no border. Here we go. Thank you, Hussein, for sharing this. Maybe it's a great another topic for some of the live stream, that because we're talking about the specifics of IT industry in Australia. So maybe we should talk about, the actual cultural difference and you moving from the IT company, similar IT company in Europe or Middle East to Australia. So that would be a good topic as well. So the exciting bit of the live stream, Nigina, how about our little giveaway? So the usual giveaway, it's a virtual coffee chat with our speakers. So whoever has been participating in our discussion and asking interesting questions can have a chance to have a virtual coffee with Nigina. So who's the lucky winner today, Nigina?
Ooh, very hard.
You can pick two.
Oh God, can I pick two? Okay. I think I would love to have a chat with Satyendra. I think it would be good to see what her challenges are and see if I can maybe help.
Yep.
But I also really enjoyed Hussein's questions and off topic. Yeah.
Off topic.
Yeah.
I was in Kuwait for 20 years.
20 years.
Here we go. Maybe I should run now on a difference between Russian IT companies and Australian one. That will be a good topic now, especially with everything that's going on in the world in Russia. It will be, top topic.
Bring it on.
Anyway, so we're not talk about politics in this live stream. So guys, Hussein and Satyendra, if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, please do so I can connect you with Nigina as well. Nigina, LinkedIn is the best way to connect with you? Is the most preferable way? Perfect. So guys, make sure to connect with me and Nigina on LinkedIn so you can organize your virtual coffee chat and obviously connect with me. I'm always happy to have a chat as well and answer more questions. And Nigina, so I'm just cautious about the time. It's already 54 minutes. So just to wrap up this live stream, could you please share your favorite inspirational quote?
Me?
Yeah, I know I put you on the spot, but yeah.
My favorite one is you can never be overeducated or overdressed.
There we go.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
I like it. So guys, don't think you're doing too much. It's okay to do too much sometimes, It's never will be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Nagina. Thank you for the quote. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And before I forgot, next week at 5:30 on Wednesday, we're talking with Alex, and we're talking about top tips on entering Agile world as a graduate. So Alex been a Scrum Master for a few years. So he finished university not long ago. So he's can freshly have a fresh story for you as well. So if you're looking to entering Agile world as a graduate, make sure to join our discussion next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. So again, thank you so much, Nagina. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
I'll see you next Wednesday.